everyone, it is Coach Marisa Reyes at The Power Within, and tonight I wanted to give you a tour of our straw bale garden and a short explanation of how we did it all. And so now that our anxious neighbor dog is back inside, we can begin. So straw bale gardening is awesome. I'm a huge fan of it. I talked a whole bunch about it in last week's live on how to grow your own vegetable garden. So you can check that out for more information. I am concerned AJ's got some props. What if they make my face itch?
The garden's very lush.
Oh, those are weeds. Anyway, so so we decided to start using a straw bale garden after my friend told me about it, and then we had a couple of garden failures and with poor quality soil, and I didn't know how to manage it, and so straw bales take care of all of that. So we are we're on the day where we get to add our 10-10-10 fertilizer. So that's a big deal where you switch from the first kind to this one, and so that means in a couple days we'll be able to plant. Yay! So how do we set this up? We've got it in rows so that our sun, which is now way over here, so that our sun is shining, so our bale rows run north-south so that they always get full sun. They're not being blocked out at any point. And that allows us to actually plant in the sides of the bales as well as on top, which is pretty cool. And on the ends, well, I'm not gonna plant on the north end. That's silly. That won't get any sun. But on the south ends, that's where I typically will put my zucchini and summer squash and watermelons, because then they can spread out from there. So what we did is we got moving boxes and cut them into strips, and I'll see if I can, there you go, so you can see. So we set our bales on top of the cardboard. That is to help prevent weeds, and I learned after we used some of our extra boxes from other products that it's way better to have the box be bigger than the bale, because then it prevents the weeds from coming up right next to it. So next year I'm going to size up and I'm going to look for large boxes instead of medium size, which is what we got. And then we lay them all up. And the first year we actually weeded the area and cleared it out and then put the boxes on top. If you have a rodent problem, you can also put down, I think it's called hardware cloth. It's really fine metal mesh so that they can't dig up and get into the bales. Our first straw bale garden here, they had lots of parties in our bales. But last year we didn't have that issue, so I did not need to add in that piece. So we've got all the cardboard down. We set down the bales, which are quite light when they're dry. And then we go to following the conditioning thing. And so I'm going to show you guys something that is super cool. So the mushrooms mean that the conditioning has been done properly. Where are the mushrooms? There they are. So usually we have the mushrooms growing on top, but this year they're coming out the sides. So maybe that's because we actually did things correctly. The mushrooms indicate that the conditioning process is going well and everything is starting to break down. And then once these mushrooms are done, because usually they grow on the top, and so then they prevent us from actually planting seeds because they pop all the seeds out. So once the mushrooms die off, then it shows us that the bales are cool enough, because they heat up and then they will cool down. So the mushrooms indicate that it's getting hot. When the mushrooms die, that shows it's cool enough to actually put the plants into the bales. So hopefully that will happen in this next week. So we're gonna have some cold days though, so I'll wait until those cold days are done before we actually get our plants going. And then you'll see that we have these posts. And so this is if we're gonna have tall branching vegetables like tomatoes or peppers, for peas and pole beans, like that one right there. That was all pole beans last year. It was insane. I've never done pole beans before, and I could have put another probably 4 feet up and it would have been okay, because they just grew over and then inside themselves, and so it was quite the process to find the beans in there and pick them, but it was a bountiful harvest, so I was very grateful. And then the stakes at the end of them, these are, I think these are 7 foot. We had to post them, this one got hammered in a little further because it was wobbly. So we got our 7-foot stakes, and they actually help keep the bales squished together nicely as well. So, and then
don't do that, then they fall over.
Yeah, if they don't have enough support, and if the twine on it wasn't tied tight enough, then the bales will fall apart. The plants will still keep growing in it, no matter, like, we've had bales completely like do a 90-degree turn, and the plants they just keep growing up. They find a way to win, but it's, you know, sometimes things get covered that way, and it's not ideal. So it's better if they can stay upright in their proper position, because then you can harvest the things that are growing out of the sides. So that's how we get the bales set up, and then I've got the landscape fabric down. This year we mowed the grass and then put it over the top of the grass, and you might be able to see where it's, the recovering perfectionist in me notices these things, and I'm an aspiring good enougher, but the grass has grown significantly and is kind of creeped up on the landscape fabric. Like I said in the last video, this is the economy version of the landscape fabric, and my goal is that I will get it covered with either straw or grass clippings. But we've had like dandelions blooming and creeping Charlie blooming, and so I didn't want those seeds in this bountiful area, because then they'll just start growing on top of the stuff, and that's not what I want. So yeah, so that's our preparation. And so there's a guide in the straw bale gardening book, and it tells you like what to do each day to condition the bales. And then once your mushrooms have died, then it will be cool enough to plant. And they actually give a temperature reading in there, and I don't know what it is off the top of my head because my bales aren't warm enough for that. But once it's cooled down from there, and then it won't burn up the roots of your new baby plants.
What are you doing? Why do you use straw instead of hay?
Oh, what is the difference between, why are we using straw bales and not hay bales? Well, straw bales are the shaft of like oat or wheat or whatever type of grain. And so it's the, I'll get one. So this is these are oats from the farmer that we get them from. And so the bales are made up of the actual shaft here. And then typically this gets removed from the combine, and then that's harvested and used for whatever purposes they're using it for. So you want it to be straw, and then actually we do it, it's actually like a real straw. I don't know if you guys can see, it's got a hole in it. So you do it open end, just up, and so all the water runs down there and all the nutrients that we are putting to help break it down. And that's what helps your straw bales not get drowned out if you have lots of moisture. Anyway, so that is straw. They are not hay bales. Hay bales is made from cut alfalfa, and the entire thing is meant to be eaten. Straw is not meant to be eaten. There's little nutritional value in this. That's why we use it for other things. So that's why it gets used for bedding for animals, straw bale gardens. It can be used as not compost, mulch, also in gardens. So that's its best use. And then actually, I'll turn this around so you guys can see. We have last year's straw bale remains. We didn't clean them up right away this year. We waited until the springtime, because if we put them in there in the winter, then they are so thick that it doesn't thaw, and then I can't use them on my plants. So these are all the bales. They started to break down, and it's actually called, the author of the book, Joel Carson, calls it black gold. So really great for growing. So they keep providing even after they're done being the host for the plants. Then they can be the nutrients for your other plants that you have around your home. So they go with all my flowers, and I think hostas, do hostas count as flowers? They go around my hostas. So hay is something that animals can actually eat, made from alfalfa. It's green. Straw is not nutritious, and so it is used to absorb and break down, and that's what we want it to do. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed our quick tour of our garden. I will hopefully be able to do more videos out here in the future when we actually have plants that are vegetables. Let's say vegetables. I have plants growing out here, but not vegetables yet. So when we have our vegetables going, then I'll show you guys how that works and how we actually plant it, because that was the hardest thing for me. Is like, I read the book, but I was like, I don't get it. How am I supposed to get the plant in the bale? And so I had to search high and low, and I found a guy who actually had videos of it. So my goal is to also make some videos of that, so you guys can see how we work within the straw to get things planted. Once I saw it, it was really simple, but it's hard to explain something like that in words, and so I just didn't get it. I'm a visual learner, and so I needed to see it. So that's my goal, is to be able to show you that part of the process too. So I am Coach Marisa Reyes at The Power Within, empowering healthy and fulfilling lives, body, mind, and soul.
Do your Boston accent.
No, I was doing my Australian accent.
Yeah, I want to change it.
Oh,
I think maybe you could do Boston better.
like the smack car.
Yep.
Tom Brady, you ripped my heart out 2 weeks ago.
I want
if you have anything to do with this.
I want you to say, I want to take my dog to the dog park.
I want to take my dog to the dog park.
Okay, so say it for me real quick.
I'm going to take my dog to the dog park.
That was pretty good. Well done. That's how you can do a Boston accent.
I can see you